do you feel like maybe making this film made you more optimistic about the future, or do you think it made you a little bit more pessimistic?
Whoa.
I'm here today to talk to Jérémie Périn.
I enjoyed the 3 first Star Wars movies and time to time some part in some movies, but I don't care anymore. Fantasy gave me the opportunity to make this Last Man series. This Last Man series was a success. As soon as you would use AI as a weird tool to do stuff you couldn't do by yourself, human body couldn't do, because we are limited as well, physically I mean. If AI can bring that kind of impactful pictures and stuff like that, yeah.
Like almost more respect for animated films, which is always a good thing. Like we're not seeing it as like, oh well, you know, Disney make animated films, so they can't be serious storytelling. I think we're seeing like an evolution of like the art form, the way people are accepting it and going through different walks of life.
For the next project I want to do an ending that is less ambiguous and more not exactly optimistic, to feel we could do something. It's not over.
Hello, my name is IJAZ KATO, and this is the Beam Films podcast. I'm here today to talk to Jérémie Périn for his film Mars Express. I actually have a couple of words to him, actually, because in my when I was studying, he actually traumatized me with his first project I at least saw, which was the music video. To be honest, I want to ask you about that process as well. What was it like making that music video and taking that leap to features? Has it been like a smooth transition for you, or is it still like some growing pains? How have you found the transition?
No, it's there was a transition between that, because I made I wanna say a lot of. It's not maybe that much of music videos, but I made shorts in a way before, really short episodes for really mini series for internet called Merci Satan, for instance. But I also worked on TV shows. I was the director of the first season of a series called Last Man, and it's because of fantasy. It's the music video you were referring to. Fantasy gave me the opportunity to make this Last Man series, and this Last Man series was a success. We hoped for a success, but it's never granted, you know. So, but it was the case. So with the same producer, we had the opportunity to make a feature with more freedom than ever, because Last Man, we had some artistic freedom with it, but it was based on comic books. So, but this time Mars Express is not based on any license, no any franchise. So, yeah. So, no, there was a transition, and I changed from format to format, little by little. So, but it's animation, so in any cases, in any format, it's difficult, whatever the format is. So, yeah.
I mean, that's a good point. Then, in terms of like making that leap from having basically doing your own creative piece with no IP to basically lash onto, do you think? Because I've talked to many creatives who have worked on like IP-based projects before, and a lot of the things they kind of said is that, like, you know, when they were having that kind of struggle in terms of like maybe what way the narrative should go to, they kind of have that falling back platform of like, well, you know, there's a comic or there's a line in a book where it can be like, oh yeah, you know, a certain character should be here and there, or in a certain different area. Do you feel like it's better for you to have that cushion, or do you prefer having complete freedom and trying to make your own path?
It's my personal view, of course. I don't think it's something you could generalize, but yeah, I prefer the most freedom you can have, and being free from any franchise or IP is better, in my opinion. I mean, there's even when you are artistic freedom is not totally true. I mean, even if you wrote your own story, there's still economical problems. I mean, the budget of your movie is a limit. You have you have limits in any cases. So let's try to have the less limits possible. It's the goal, and also I think we are living in a world today where entertainment is really blocked with IPs. There's too much franchise, and we are seeing way too much the same kind of movies and the same kind of characters all the time. So yeah, if we can bring some time to time some new propositions, I think it's better for the audience and for I don't know, to breathe and not being always nostalgic, or I don't know, you know, how many Marvel movies there is today? Like 36, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It's not even including the TV shows.
Can we move on, please?
Yeah, honestly.
I love Star Wars, you know, but there's too many Star Wars movies now. I don't know. Let them die, or let them live like the movie they were in the beginning, and at any time we can watch those movies, and it's not because they are old now that they are not interesting anymore. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Have you seen Andor? I don't know if you're watching the show. I don't know if you're with Star Wars. I'm not really, but my friend said that's like the one good Star Wars.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that, but I didn't see it. No, I'm disgusted by. To be honest, I'm disgusted by by Star Wars. It's not exactly like I said. I enjoy the three first Star Wars movies, and time to time some other part in some movies, but I don't know. I mean, I don't care anymore. I mean, I think what was supposed to be told, and what was supposed to be expressed has been expressed already in those movies. Now you're just manipulating a dead bodies, you know, doing new movies and new TV show. I don't know.
So it's not necessarily a problem with the Star Wars like films itself. It's more like the fact that they continue on. That's where your problem comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then in your mind then, like, because obviously you clearly have a bias in terms of like what makes good sci-fi, considering you've made a sci-fi film. Mm-hmm. What in your mind then stands out to what makes great sci-fi, good sci-fi, and then bad sci-fi in your eyes?
Oh, it's really difficult because there's so much different way to do sci-fi stories. I mean, we decided to do something more art science fiction, cyberpunk science fiction. Mars Express is in between those two subcategory, but sci-fi is not only that. It's we talked about Star Wars. Star Wars is more like a fantasy kind of fairy tale sort of sci-fi, but it is still sci-fi. You know, it's more like there's magic in Star Wars. It's the same like with Dune. Dune is also something more close to feudal kind of story, but you have dukes, you have emperor, you have baron and stuff like that, and but it is still sci-fi because you're going to space. There's huge spaceships and blah blah blah. I love it, but so it's what makes good sci-fi. I don't know. I would say as soon as your sci-fi movies or stories in general, fiction, they establish a world, and you need to establish in that world the rules that makes that world true and feel. You have to feel this world exist. So you need to be. I'm sorry, I'm searching my English. My English vocabulary is maybe too. You need to be true with your rules. You have to be coherent, and it's the most important part for me for the audience to believe in what you are telling to them. And if you are betraying the rules you established in the beginning and changed every time you need something to be different because it doesn't fit with your script, and you are trying to put a square in circle in your script and in your world rules, then you don't believe anymore in your world and in your story.
That makes sense. So then, with that perspective, then how did you kind of go into the Mars Express writing process to make sure that it adhered to your own preferences for good sci-fi?
Yeah. First, we chose to go through art science because from our perspective with my co-writer Laurent Sarfati, at the time when we started to work on the movie, we were like, what kind of sci-fi movies there is missing for us in the landscape of sci-fi cinema at the moment? And what was missing for us was art science kind of movie, you know. Like I said, there was still sci-fi in cinema, of course, at that time, but it was more about Star Wars. It was about Marvel movies, superhero movies. They are kind of they have sci-fi element in them, but it's not really scientifically accurate, you know. They don't care about that, and it's okay. I mean, as soon as their rules are respected in their own universe. But so we wanted to go back to a type of science fiction that is closer to, I don't know, RoboCop, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Alien, that kind of movie where you feel, there's no sound in space. You know, there's you respect the rules of science as much as you can. Of course, sometimes you betray also that, or else the movie would be way too complex to make. But that was the first impulsion. But after that, I think sci-fi, even when you're telling stories far in the future, you're always, even if you don't want to, talking about our present, the nowadays. So knowing that, we were like, what's going on today? What can we talk about of what happened today, and in relation with science, in relation with the science field, you know. I mean, and at that time, it was the beginning of that propaganda. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all those tech billionaires they tried to convince us that our future would be on Mars or in space station, and we were like, oh yeah. You know, I love the idea of exploring where we live, the universe, stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm not sure those guys are the right partners to do that, and the right leaders to do that. Because I'm completely against their ideologies and stuff like that. But we wanted to go from there and imagine what could be a society ruled by such leaders, in a way.
No, yeah. I mean, when you watch the film, you can definitely see that, like, the ideas of, you know, I think, again, we actually haven't got that political, so it's kind of cool that we're going this way. But the ideas of, like, the police force not necessarily being in the best interests of the people, you know, in a capitalist hierarchical society, more often than not, they're on the side of capital. And when it's on the side of capital, you know, that really influences how, let's say, a murder may occur in the future. And that's one thing I really appreciated a lot in your film is the political undertones. I think with a lot of sci-fi that we're seeing today, I think we're not really seeing that kind of edge to it. I think we're missing that Star Trek levels of criticism. When we see like Star Trek, sorry, back in the day, we kind of saw that political commentary of like what a utopian society could be, and I thought it was interesting that your film was kind of going in not necessarily complete opposite direction, but also potentially what the world could be, both good and bad. And I was wondering, in terms of that perspective, do you feel like maybe making this film made you more optimistic about the future, or do you think it made you a little bit more pessimistic?
Whoa. I don't know. I'm the kind of guy who is, yeah, I tend to be more optimistic than pessimistic. But I think it's more of a survival technique, because if there's this expression, I seeing the glass half full instead of half empty. Even if it was only third full, I would see it as third full instead of 2/3 empty. So yeah, or else it's fighting would be, I don't know, useless if I wasn't more optimistic. I don't know, but I try to not derealize the truth and being stupidly optimistic. But and to be honest, these days a lot of stuff are could make us really pessimistic. The rise of far right all over the world, and it's really alarming. But yeah, we have to stand up and to stay to fight those ideologies, horrible ideologies. So no, I don't know if the movie made me more or less optimistic or pessimistic. I think I didn't change that much regarding my political views and the way we should or we shouldn't fight. I don't know. I try to express, but it's there's something. The end of the movie is ambiguous, and something it made. For the next project I have, I want to do an ending that is less ambiguous and more not exactly optimistic, but more something that could bring hope to people and just help them to feel, yeah, we could do something. It's not over.
Right. That's interesting because I thought the ambiguity, we won't spoil it, but I thought the ambiguity of the ending really helped. I felt to me as an audience member, it let me put like the message on instead of, necessarily being spoon fed. I guess also that's a good question as an artist. Do you prefer, I guess, giving a flat out answer to like a specific question? I feel like some other sci-fi projects in the past have been like, I don't know, let's say, in Star Wars, for example, Nazis are bad, and we should fight them. That kind of.
Which is true.
Which is true, very true. But there are other sci-fi projects which are a little bit more ambiguous in terms of, like Mars Express, for example, which are a little bit more ambiguous in their final messaging. Did you feel pressure to have like, I need to make sure the audience can clearly understand, what I'm trying to say? Because obviously, there's that pressure that audience members are getting stupider, that kind of perspective. Or did you prefer having that like having the not necessarily the pressure, but the maybe my English isn't that great either, but basically giving the freedom over to the audience members to be like, this is the piece of work I want to give you. Whatever you pick out, that's the message, whether it's good or bad, whether it's what I want or not. I don't know if that question made sense, but
no, it makes sense. It makes sense, but it's a French film, so I don't have any pressure to be understood as a director or as a writer. I guess this movie couldn't happen in Hollywood, or I would have been really lucky to go through all those executives who would be like, I'm sure, like, oh no, we don't understand the ending. Oh no, it's not clear enough. It's not, there's too much doubt in the ending of that movie. So, but to me, it was important at that moment. There's this ambiguity, and I love that in movies or in fiction in general. I think it's really important. And even if I said my next project would be more frontal, I still want there's a little glimpse of possibility of interpretation, of a different interpretation, because I don't like to broad message and like here how you should think. I think it's not something a movie or a story should work. It's even if I think it's important for a creator to have an intention in the beginning, and to these intentions are structuring their story and the story. At the end, when the work is done, the intention of the authors are not that important, I think. Now the what's important is the relationship with the work, the movie, the book, whatever, and the audience. And because I say that, because I made a lot of premiere and I had a lot of Q&A with the audience, and many times people had interpretation of some details in the movie I never thought about, but I was like, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, why not? It's possible. It's a possibility. So, but I told them that it wasn't my intention. It's not what I wanted to say, but I really like the fact people are, taking the movie for themselves and make their imagination working with it. I love the idea of watching a movie, going back to my place, dreaming about it, and make my imagination works a lot about it. And it's like that we became moviegoers, and ultimately I became a director, a movie director, because of that. Because I was daydreaming with movies from other directors, and I was like, oh wow, it's the power of fiction, I think. Exploring the possibilities, the ideas, etc.
Yeah, definitely, 100% agree. So I'm just going to take it back to the industry as a whole in terms of like French animation. I think we've recently kind of been seeing like not necessarily a resurgence, but finally a recognition of European animation in general. I just wanted your thoughts, since you've been in the industry as a long time as a filmmaker, how you've kind of seen this recognition kind of grow in terms of European animation, and what do you potentially see for the future of not only French animation, but animation in general?
The animation industry since 2000, so it's been a while, 25 years now. There was an evolution, and a good evolution. When I started to work in that industry, there was not so many features that were produced, and there was more in France. And there was more, a lot of shows, a lot of TV shows, and there's still a lot of TV shows that are produced today, but at the time it was mostly that, and not so much interesting ones. It was more or less copy with 10 years delayed of older American success, and but little by little, with the success of unexpected movies, animated features, made enlarged the scale of possibility. And I think two movies were important in France about that. It was Persepolis, I guess, and Kirikou. I don't know if you know Kirikou in the UK, but one was Persepolis was more of a political, historical kind of movie, very serious, even if there's fun part in it. But it was more of a young adult kind of movie in a way. I think that movie opened the door for a more mature audience in the animation for animation feature. And Kirikou was it's an African fairy tale, and it opened the door for thinking, oh yeah, we can do for the whole family something stories that are popular, because it was a huge success. And that kind of success was more reserved for Disney movies, you know, and it became a success at this scale of at this scale. And so producers and distributors were more open to go there to experiment with animations. And yeah, but during 2 decades, 1 decade, almost 2 decades, most animated feature for a mature audience, for adults and young adults, were influenced by Persepolis. And so most of them were more about, heavy subjects and historical subjects, you know, like I'm thinking about movies like The Swallow of Kabul, Valse avec Bashir.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, those movies where there's war, there's people suffering and trying to deal with their lives in difficult situations, and and we were still far from doing such films that like Mars Express. You know, there's robots, there's monsters, there's action action scenes and explosions and stuff like that. So to me, it was my what I tried to deal with was indeed to bring that kind of also that genre movies in the French animation feature industry. So, but thanks to that music video I made, who was a success, and Last Man, that TV show, little by little, that kind of movie became possible. Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing it today. We're seeing so many great films now, and I mean, I hope it continues. I think we're seeing like almost more respect for animated films, which is always a good thing. Like, we're not seeing it as like a oh well, Disney make animated films, so there can't be serious storytelling. I think we're seeing like not only like an evolution of like the art form, but we're seeing like an evolution of the way people are accepting it and going through different walks of life.
I think it's one of my theory. I'm not sure it's pertinent or not so much, but I think the fact video games are now really popular takes a role also in that acceptation of that animation can also be something to tell story for a more mature audience. I mean, the relationship I'm making is that in video games you don't have your avatar is like an animated character, right. And it's even if you have a lot of video games that try to be super realistic, they are never exactly realistic. So you have like a filter, a way to make the medium is aesthetically not that real. Right. But still you can project yourself in stories through those avatars and stuff like that. And also you have a lot of video games that have exactly an animated kind of style. So you know, all those Japanese games are anime-like in the aesthetic. So I think we have less difficulties to project ourselves in characters that are drawn or that are in CGI than before. Also with the help of video games, I think.
I was also really thinking about this when I was watching the film. I was getting, in terms of like thematic similarities, not necessarily like completely exactly the same, but I was kind of getting like Death Stranding, like thematic closeness. I don't know. Have you played Death Stranding? I don't know if you.
Yes.
Yeah, the second one's coming out like next month. I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
it really went over my head, but I'm excited to play that one.
Yeah. I remembered about it yesterday. I was like, it will be released soon, right? And I was, oh yeah, it's next month.
Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. I would have thought like
I love it.
Type of game for sure.
I love it.
But yeah, I guess also that's also another thing in terms of like I know the difference, but I was wondering in terms of like your eyes, what's like the main difference in terms of like maybe Asian animation to European, and what maybe are similarities or conflicts that kind of like come in terms of like the way it looks and how it's made? Are there any like differences in your eyes?
Oh, it's complicated topics, but there's a lot of difference related to many stuff. Cultural difference, of course, but also the methodology of just the making of animation is also what makes the Asian animation and European animation, or even American animation, different from each other. For a long time, European animation were more influenced by American animation. We used Disney technique to work, and also Disney techniques also influenced Japanese animation also. I mean, the working with key frames is something Disney created, and everybody in the world is using this technique of the keyframes and the in-betweens to do animation with drawing 2D animation. But even in 3D, in fact, they are using keyframes. But then it's difficult. It's also usually it's also linked to the comic book market, the specific comic book market. I think European animation has a lot of things to do with French comic books, and Japanese animation has a lot to do with the mangas, and same for the American animation with their own comic books market. And so I don't know. It's we should do historical and social analysis for to extract every fundamental specificities of each. But it could be the same. You could do the same with the way of writing books in each countries, and which is also something it's something that questioned me, like we are seeing anime for Japanese animation, and we are seeing animation when it's Western animation, while it's always animation. In fact, I don't know why we are making this distinct use of word. It's like comic books, bande dessinée, or manga. It's always comic books in the end of the day. At the end of the day, so I don't know. It's we are not using that for movies, and we are not saying that for books. We are not saying that with music. It's just music, and that's all. I don't know. It's weird, but in music we are saying J-pop or K-pop anyway. But I don't know. It's something like, I guess, more like a way of making distinctions and marketing stuff. I don't know, but out of this, indeed, there's always cultural specificities, and I think it's great because I don't want animation to become standard and like everywhere in the world we would do exactly the same. It would be so sad. and and it's also because there are specificities that everybody is watching what everybody does in the same time in the world, and like everybody are influencing everybody, and we are like, oh, they did that way, it's incredible, it gave me a new ideas, you know. It's something, there's a continuity, a continuum of people trying, experimenting stuff, and you know, it's a good way to question your own medium and how you worked previously, and maybe there's something different and new and interesting to do still.
That's it's a good point. And so I want to go back to one of the themes in your film, which I think is sadly becoming good. It's a good thing that's become more relevant today. It's the idea of like the way AI is developing. I'm sure when you were making the film, I'm sure there's no way you could predicted how well or how
No.
fast ChatGPT has developed.
Yeah.
It seems like, I mean, if I didn't know, it would have seemed like you had like stocks in the company and you already knew what was going on. But in terms of the way you're seeing AI used, because within the film, it's not explicit that AI is continuously used in terms of creativity, in terms of like taking over the film industry as what's being like potentially prescribed today. Do you see the benefits of using AI creatively, or do you think that has its uses, or it's something that we should be completely staying away from entirely?
Yeah, it's indeed when I made those Q&A with the premiere and stuff, people always asked me, did you use AI for your movie because it talks about AI? Yeah, no, because ChatGPT, Midjourney, or DALI were released at the end of the production of Mars Express, so it was too late for us to use it. But I don't know, it was interesting. The production, people were really split in half. Like some were very interested in those picture generator, and others were really afraid. Now the consensus seems to be workers in the animation industry that they are all kind of hate AI and are very afraid about the fact they could be like replaced as a worker. And yeah, so my position is more nuanced. I think as soon as you would use AI as a weird tool to do stuff you couldn't do by yourself, like pictures or stuff you could your human body couldn't do because we are limited as well physically, I mean. That is interesting for me, to exploring new kind of images, pictures, and forms. But if it's just to replace worker to have smaller budget, and I don't know. Here I'm not agree with the use of AI. It's yeah, I see AI as a tool, and I hope it won't be used too much as a tool to make more money without without working with real people. It can really, it could be what is frightening is that it's easy to see how such technology can be used by capitalists, and the way they could benefit from this just to make money and put everybody in a situation of being jobless. So indeed, on that side, I'm with the workers that are afraid about it. But I think I'm really curious. I didn't use them for the moment yet, but for the next project I have. I would like to do some tests to see if it's interesting, if it can bring us some I don't know, like I said, specific pictures or specific feeling we couldn't have otherwise. And I always been a fan of new techniques in cinema in general. I follow the all the special effects in movies since I'm a child, and I'm really into when CGI came out, and there was that movie Tron. There was young Sherlock Holmes with this window man animated in CGI. It was the beginning of CGI at that time in as VFX in cinema, and even the transformation in Willow, and of course Jurassic Park. It was completely crazy, and Terminator 2. So I'm always into seeing new pictures, it's so enjoyable. So if AI can bring that kind of new impactful pictures and stuff like that, yeah, I'm into that. But if it's to if it's to have majors or studios that are creating just with the executive movies completely with AI, like entering prompt like ChatGPT do Zelda movies with the Miyazaki style, yeah, fuck off.
Oh, definitely, that makes sense. And then so the last question I guess I have then, I know you were talking about loving animation and being in it for the past 25 years now. Would you ever be tempted to do live action, or do you think animation is like kind of where your home is and you want to kind of stay here?
Sometimes I'm tempted of making live action movies, but I have a really, really small experience about live action films. I just made one music video years ago, and I know way more the animation techniques. I think my language in movies, in cinema, is more related to animation techniques for the moment. Also, I think the kind of movie I want to do is more I know I can do them in animation. In live action, Mars Express, for instance, would cost way more than it cost in animation. Our budget was something like 8.5 million euros, but in live action, you can add 1 0 to that budget, I guess. And French cinema can't do that. It's way too expensive. We don't have the power of Hollywood to do such high budget movies. So yeah, and the movies I'm doing now are have their personality comes also with the fact it's in animation in this French cinema landscape that is not really full of sci-fi movies or genre movies. So in a way, the movie I want to do are become more specific, and you when they are released, people are like, "Ooh, it's weird," and I catch their attention, I think, because is it a French movie? Yeah. It is. So yeah,
it's a shame. So we're not seeing a live action adaptation of Mars Express anytime soon in the pipeline, or
for the moment, no, not maybe some people are conspiring about that, but I have no idea about that yet.
And just out of curiosity, because I know a lot of directors like to add themselves into films and stuff. Do you have a cameo in Mars Express that people need to keep an eye out for? Or is there no?
Is there a cameo in Mars Express that nobody? There's a lot of cameo, in fact, in Mars Express, but
I mean,
I don't know if.
One of you, or is there any?
You mean people from the production
The production.
appearing in the movie? Yeah. In fact, yes. There's a lot of reference in the movie about video game creator, but they are not people from the movie team, but also there, when Aline and Carlos are at the brain farmer facilities, at some point Carlos is hacking the computer of that place, and you can see all the people who came in that facility, and they have pictures and names, and in that list everyone is it goes very fast. It's like you were scrolling down a lot of people, but if you are doing pause, sometimes there's people from the there's Laetitia, who is the first director assistant. There's Anne Galvez, who was the animation supervisor. My brother, people from my family or friends, and because at some point you're like, we have to create so much faces there for that just one shot. So at the end I was like, I would just draw my friends, and it will be easier, and I won't have to think too much about some design.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. So last question is, what do you have lined up coming soon that you can tell us about? Is there anything that you're kind of excited about, that you're willing to share?
You mean what I'm working on right now? Yeah, it's we are working on a new feature, animated feature. It's not exactly sci-fi, but even though there's some glimpse of sci-fi in it, but it would be more of a supernatural kind of movie, and it would take place in Paris nowadays. I wanted to do something that is taking place in where I live, instead of a city far away, and also because it's a difficulty with sci-fi is that you, especially if it takes place in a distant future, you have to design everything, and now it was very exhausting because we were way too optimistic about that. Like, yeah, we will improvise everything and it's okay. No, it's way more complicated. So this time I'm like, the background will be the street. I can go anytime, and I can take reference pictures, and so yeah, it will be nowadays. It will take place nowadays, and we are in the process of writing. We made a treatment, version 2 of a treatment, and we are waiting for the producer to do feedbacks to us, Laurent and I'm still writing it with my with the same co-writer than Mars Express and even Last Man and even Fantasy. And it's the same producer as Last Man and Mars Express, but for the moment we are just 3 people thinking about and working about a new movie, but it's the classic process.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And we always ask the directors this: what's one film that you would recommend to the audience or to the next person we interview that they should watch?
What can... It's difficult. It's so vast.
Yeah, it's an impossible question, but you have to ask.
Yeah, but I know the easy answer would be like Haozu, because it's just up my head. Great movie, great horror, comedy, weird flicks, you know. It's a movie that came out here in France really lately, while it's now an old Japanese movie. But yeah, it's a great movie. But you know, these days I'm into. I watched The Killer by John Woo. Yeah, I watched it many times years ago, and I watched it back yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot that movie was that onirical. Is it an English word? I mean, dreamy, dreamy.
Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I forgot the dreamy logic of the editing and the staging. My memories were more about it's an operatic movie, you know, and it is. But there's a dreamy feeling there that I never saw before, and I was like, oh, it's interesting for my next movie to analyze that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. The Killer's the one with the really long fight sequence, right?
Oh no, it's Hard Boiled.
Oh, that's
I
Hard
think
Boiled.
in the hospital.
Oh,
In the hospital.
Yeah, in the hospital
With the
sorry.
baby and stuff. No, it's Hard Boiled. Yeah. This one is rougher. This one is, I think, for my memory, still the staging is more rough. You know, while I think in The Killer, it's, you know, there's a lot of transition between scenes, and you know, it's difficult to explain it, especially in English for me. But yeah, it's it's the one with Chow Yun-fat, who's the killer, and he by accident he put a singer blind. And he feel guilty, and he fall in love with her, and he wants to help her to have to be not blind anymore anyway. And and the final scene is in a church, and you know, it's beautiful.
Okay, I'll add it to my list. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Mars Express is going to be coming out in theaters soon. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.
Thank you so much.